All right. Hello again, everybody. This is Ken Allison, Mostly Sports Talk. And this is a kind of a rainy day in Anderson, South Carolina, as we record this.
I don't think we're going to see the sun again.
And it doesn't look like it, does it?
It's awful.
And Cobb Oxford, of course,
Well, it's
is
not
here.
awful. We need the rain.
Desperately. And Cobb, before we get into too much about the local college scene, a couple of things that I want to bring up. And one of them has to do with, and I know you're a Braves fan. Baseball's over for you. It has been over
about a month.
But us Cardinal guys, we're still hanging tough, see?
Yeah, he had a nasty collision last night.
All right, now, Adam Wainwright hasn't pitched this year, best pitcher.
A lot of injuries.
Molina's out for the regular season. Other thumb. One from last year's is left thumb this time. Holiday has missed 30 days on the DL. Matt Adams has missed, and now a 14-7 Martinez, the pitcher, is out for the year.
Quit your whining.
So
you still got the best record in baseball.
Well, I know, but now everybody's worn out, and it's just pitiful. And then this kid last night, this kid had come up here, this Piscotti kid had come up here and torn it up, and now did you see that collision?
I did see it, and I couldn't watch it but one time.
Yeah, they say it was a skull bruise. I don't know if I've ever heard that.
Yeah, he spent the night in the hospital.
Yeah.
He's okay. All the X-rays are negative.
Yeah.
Which brings up the old Dizzy Dean headline: X-rays of Dean's head reveal nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Okay.
But no, he's okay, and they've got a chance to clinch again tonight. But right now, Cardinals are in, Pittsburgh's in, Cubs are in.
All in one division.
All in one division, and Cubs and Pittsburgh are on play.
It's not easy for Pittsburgh because they're playing the Cardinals tonight.
I'm confused now. How will the wild card work? Who will play who?
Oh, I don't know. But the Cardinals, if they win one more, they will be a division winner, and the Dodgers are a division winner.
Right.
And the Mets are a division winner.
Right.
All right.
So they'll sit on the sideline and watch the Cubs and the Pirates play.
Evidently.
Yes.
And, that's right.
That's correct.
Okay.
I would think.
Okay. So,
but, the purists a few years ago, when they put in the wild card and then they put in the second wild card,
yeah,
the purists just went crazy. But if you look at what's happening in the American League now, where the Rangers, Angels, they've still got a lot of races going on there for playoff spots.
Yeah.
And, we're down to
6 games.
5-6 games.
Yeah, right.
So it has accomplished. The Yankees are trying to get in. Kansas City and Toronto are already in, but you've got Minnesota's virtually out of it now. But you've got for the wild card, you've got the Yankees in Houston right now, but you've got the Angels are half game back. Minnesota's a game and a half back for the last wild card.
Wild card, yeah.
Very tight situation there, but anyway, Atlanta. I've let it be known the entire season that I just haven't been. The team vastly overachieved. They were 42-42, and they were actually, in the conversation there through 84 games, and then management went crazy again and traded a bunch of people away for nothing. They say prospects,
yeah.
rebuild the farm system, yada yada, and then but when they traded away Chris Johnson and Uribe to the Mets, they lost me. I just like they don't want to be competitive.
And Jason Hayward has helped the Cardinals a lot.
They even smelled being competitive.
Yeah.
Management got rid of whoever was helping them.
Sounds like the Marlins in their house cleaning, like the Marlins.
Terrible.
They'll win a pennant and then clean house.
Hayward's had a nice offensive year.
He's done well. He's been hurt a couple of times.
Well, he's been struggling in Atlanta. He's always been a good defensive player, but maybe he just needed a change of scenery to.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah,
They do sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, we got to switch over to a little college right now. And Cobb, I spent a good bit of time this morning trying to figure out who's the best team in college. And I've arrived at two: Utah and Baylor. Argue with that. You know, I really think
I'm not going to argue with you on Utah. I mean, because they have they've beaten. They
went out to Oregon and stomped them.
Yeah.
After Oregon was coming off a loss, you'd think they would be ready to get back up. You know, and all right.
What that tells you is that Oregon ain't Oregon.
They're not.
And
right.
Baylor, they're 3-0, but let's see who
they hadn't beaten anybody. Rice.
Baylor has beaten SMU. They've beaten Louisiana Monroe, and they've beaten Rice.
Yeah, but they score 70 points a game.
No, I'm sorry, not Louisiana Monroe. It was Lamar.
Lama.
I have an abbreviation here.
Yeah.
But they've scored 56, 66, and 70.
Try to get better every week.
Well, but this week they've got Texas Tech at Lubbock.
They'll hold them to 60.
Texas Tech can score. And so that'll be another crazy shootout.
I don't think Baylor knows how to tackle. They don't practice that a lot.
And let's see if I can find Utah. I know Utah has played a pretty good schedule.
Yeah, they have. Haven't they beaten Southern Cal and Oregon already? Am I wrong?
I don't know if they've. Is it Southern Cal?
While you're looking, I'm gonna run down here. All right, UCLA just went out in the desert and stomped poor old Arizona 56-30.
Yeah, that was a stunner.
It was. Mississippi State hung in there and beat Auburn.
Well,
17-9.
Auburn's terrible.
God, something wrong there.
I watched a good bit of that game, and their offense is non-existent. It has, and the issue with them is they do not have the dual threat quarterback, and so they are. They basically have ground to a halt as far as offense goes.
Texas A&M beat Arkansas 28-21. Now that's
Brett Bielema opened his mouth and he hadn't won since.
All right, Okie State, your guys survived Texas 30-27. That made the family happy.
Texas dropped a punt snap and got off like a 10-yard punt to set up the winning points for Oklahoma State. And that's the 7th time in that series that the road team has won, 7 straight now. And I think Oklahoma State has become the first team to beat Texas in Austin 4 straight times.
Gracious.
So, but they go home this week to get Kansas State, and but I think they're a good football team. Their defense can look very ordinary at times. They didn't. There was a time there in the second quarter where I think they thought they were playing touch instead of tackle. But the kid Rudolph, who's from Rock Hill, has
Mason Rudolph.
He's a good quarterback, and he's done a good job. And they like to play fast, and they're just like the rest of the Big 12. They like to play fast and like trying to score a lot of points. So
yeah. All right, Florida survived a 28-27 game with Tennessee, and there's been so much confusion about that extra point, that 2-point, 1-point thing, and Butch Jones said, well, we'd do the same thing again. I've never heard a coach, when he made a bad call like that, say, yeah, I should have done. They always say, we'd do the same thing again.
I had a buddy of mine, Charlie Bennett, covered a high school playoff game at Ware Shoals many years ago, and Tommy Davis was the head coach at Ware Shoals. And in the first half, maybe the first quarter, deep in his own territory, he went for 4th down and didn't get it. So I think Ware Shoals ended up pulling the game out. But after the game, Charlie said, Coach Davis, why in the first quarter would you go for a 4th down deep in your own territory? And he said, Coach Davis looked at him and said, Charlie, that was kind of stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tommy was wonderful, though. He basically no nonsense. Speaking of that.
But, just like you say, you went for 2 and you didn't get it and you lose by 1.
Yeah.
In a game that you've blown a 2-touchdown lead again. Yeah. I think I would just have to step up in a microphone and say, you know what, that was stupid.
Pretty dumb, yeah.
at that point, I needed to tie the game and take my chances in overtime, especially when you hadn't beaten Florida in
10 years now.
Forever.
I think it's 10 years.
Yeah, or 11.
Yeah, now it's 11.
Well,
yeah.
Utah has beaten Michigan, which at the time that didn't look like a whole lot, but it turned out to be a very nice win.
Yeah.
They've beaten Utah State. They've beaten Fresno, which used to be a pretty good team, not so much anymore. And then they crushed Oregon. So
so it wasn't
They've
Southern
got
Cal.
this Saturday open, and then they've got Cal, and then they don't really have. They've got a nice little spread here. I mean, they've got Cal, and then they got Arizona State, which has proven to be not too. I mean, they've got Cal at home, Arizona State at home. Their toughie will be on the 24th of October when they go to Southern Cal.
I heard a drop in at one of the games where the guy comes in and does. They say, "All right, let's go back to the studio for so and so," and this guy comes in and says something about the Utes, and he said, "Well, what is a Ute? Don't you know somebody? Surely somebody with ESPN gave him a little bit of a lesson of what a Ute is. It's
an Indian tribe, right?
And yes, and they have gotten along very well with Utah State about using that.
Well, you look at their helmet, or Utah using it, yeah. Just like Florida State. I mean, Florida State has an agreement with the
Seminoles,
with the Seminole tribe, and people go crazy about the Indian thing there, but
they give them money.
The Seminole tribe likes Florida State and likes Florida State using it and approves of everything that Florida State does. In fact, a few years ago, Florida State had a solid black uniform that had "Unconquered" written down the legs of the pants.
Yeah.
And because the Seminole tribe is the only Indian tribe that has not been conquered.
No, I did not know that. Yeah.
So the Seminoles, they really approve of what Florida State's doing, and I think Utah has the same.
With the Utes, but this guy.
But their helmet obviously has a feather. I mean, it's a U with a circle and a feather. So you even if you didn't know, you've got to figure it's Indian related. Well,
but I'm just thinking this guy needed to shut up. He needed not to have said that because somebody's going to be mad at him.
Well, he works at ESPN. He doesn't know to shut up.
All right, now, quickly. Ohio State, not impressive with a 38-12 win over Western Michigan. Michigan, very impressive.
They have undefeated Indiana this week.
Yes, they do, yeah. Michigan, very impressive. 31-0 BYU. Now, BYU's been living on the edge and miracles, and they didn't have it this Saturday.
Well, when I saw that 5.5 point Michigan giving 5.5 at home, I was like, somebody knew something there, and obviously somebody did because that was a beatdown. So Jim Harbaugh has brought back the basics to Michigan. They run the ball and they play defense, and they seem to be getting better every week.
Well, a moment ago, Cobb, you mentioned something about Tommy Davis not punting deep in his own territory on fourth down. And there's a guy in a small college has written a book, and he never punts.
Never punt.
And he always onside kick.
Onside
Berkeley High School, and the guy coaching down there, Curse, he's a Clemson guy, and he this year has picked that up. Well, I think he's 3-2, but he has decided this year to try that, and he got his staff together and saying, "I'm laying my job on the line here, but we're going to try this because there's a whole mathematical formula. If you do this and you do that, can you make that? And what your percentages?" And so that's pretty good.
Well, it takes the guessing game out of it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Don't have to make any tough calls.
Every call can be tough.
The kids know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to punt and you're not going to kick it deep. So
yeah, let's
see what happens. But it sounds quirky. I don't think you'll find a lot of people trying to do it, but I imagine it could be unnerving if you play them.
If you weren't real good, anyway, you're rolling dice here.